Hey there, I'm Dave Reno, the Public Works Department Community Engagement Officer, and we're going to spend just a few minutes covering some common stormwater user fee update questions in this video. So let's hop right into it. So on December 2nd, the Board of County Commissioners will meet to consider options for updating the stormwater user fee. So what exactly is stormwater management and the stormwater user fee? Next slide, please. Stormwater management protects life, it protects private property, it protects commerce, it protects the environment, and it protects our roads. So it accomplishes this through the maintenance, renewal, and improvement of stormwater infrastructure. We often take our infrastructure for granted because much of it, aside from our streets and bridges, is buried out of sight. It's under the ground. This is especially true for stormwater. In Kansas City, Kansas, Public Works is responsible for the maintenance, renewal, and improvement of more than 400 miles of stormwater pipe, more than 10,000 stormwater structures, more than 120 miles of open channel drainage, and our city also has more than 600 miles of ditches. All of this infrastructure is meant to do one thing: move rainwater away from private property, away from businesses, and away from roads to one of the two rivers that surround us. Stormwater management means protecting life, protecting property, protecting commerce, protecting streets, and of course, protecting our environment. Infrastructure systems of this magnitude must be constantly and vigilantly maintained. Physical infrastructure has a finite life, and now that this infrastructure served generations for the past 50 or 100 years, and in some cases longer, it has to be rebuilt or replaced in many cases. To accomplish this, stormwater management is supported by a stormwater user fee. Next slide, please. Similar to other utility fees like water and electricity and wastewater, many communities have a utility fee designed to manage the rainwater that occurs from storms. We have that here in KCK, and right now, everyone in Kansas City, Kansas pays a flat $4.50 monthly fee. This user fee is what supports the maintenance, renewal, and improvements of our stormwater system and those things that they need in order for it to work. Now, in late 2018, Public Works identified the need to make extensive improvements to the stormwater system because it is failing. And the department recommended overcoming this by proposing a fee structure that meets funding needs and is fairer for ratepayers by basing the user fee on an individual property's use of the stormwater system itself. So the proposed user fee was based on the amount of hard surface a property has. Hard surface or impervious surface is any surface that does not allow rainwater to absorb naturally into the ground. If rainwater is not absorbed naturally into the ground, it becomes stormwater. It becomes stormwater that runs off a property and must be managed by the stormwater system. So the more hard surface a property has, the more stormwater runoff it generates, and the more demand it places on the stormwater system. Right now, a single family home, which may only have 2,000 square feet of hard surface, pays the same $4.50 per month that commercial properties pay, whether they have 75,000 square feet or 150,000 square feet of hard surface. Basing the user fee on the amount of hard surface a property has helps make the substantial cost of maintaining, renewing, and improving the stormwater system a little fairer for everyone. So aside from making the stormwater rate a little fairer for everyone, what exactly does the user fee need to be updated? Next slide, please. So it's no secret that Kansas City, Kansas, like numerous communities throughout the United States, has serious infrastructure challenges. Without changing the way we do business, without making a quick and concerted effort, a majority of our stormwater system, a system which protects life, property, commerce, streets, and the environment, will fail by 2031. Next slide, please. This is what our system looks like right now. The yellow and red dots represent fair to failed assets. And as you can see, they're all over the place. This is a massive system. Next slide, please. You'll notice that the red has increased. This slide shows what a majority of the city stormwater system will be like in 2031 if we do not update the current stormwater user fee. So in a practical sense, this means that closures like Hubbard Road, Row Lane, 91st Street will become even more common, and the stormwater program will not be able to fix them. It also means that residents and businesses will continue to battle flood issues caused by poorly maintained ditches, undersized pipes, and destabilized creek banks. It also means that the quality of our local roads will continue to decline. Moisture is the natural enemy of pavement, and the stormwater system is designed to help get water away from roads. The longer water remains in the roads, the quicker the roads degrade, both on the surface in terms of potholes and at the subsurface in terms of washouts and cave-ins. An updated stormwater user fee would also help our city take advantage of cost-saving measures like the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act or the WIFIA program. WIFIA is a federal program that combines low interest rates with long-term repayment terms and deferred payments up to 5 years after a project's completion. The unified government has been awarded the opportunity to apply for this funding. It would add extraordinary value to the capital investments that we need to make in our stormwater system. Next slide, please. So if we don't update the stormwater user fee, we can't expect a majority of our stormwater system to fail by 2031. Public Works will not be able to provide adequate maintenance. Deferred maintenance backlogs will continue to increase. We'll miss out on larger grant opportunities. We will not be able to take full advantage of the WIFIA program. But even more importantly, the safety of residents, of businesses, of private property, and the health of our natural environment will decline. On December 2nd, the Board of County Commissioners will consider two proposals. Both of the proposals are based on the amount of hard surface a property has, but only one of the proposals meets the funding needs without additional support. The first proposal is a tiered approach. Next slide, please. The tiered approach has two categories, residential and non-residential. Residential properties will pay a flat fee of $7.50 per month beginning July 1, 2023. This amount will increase to $7.75 by January 1, 2025. The non-residential category is separated into 5 tiers according to the amount of hard surface a property has. A non-residential property with 25,000 square feet of hard surface would pay $150 per month, and a non-residential property with 2 million square feet of hard surface would pay $400 a month. This approach will meet the maintenance, renewal, and improvement needs of the city's stormwater system. The second approach is an individually calculated approach. Next slide, please. In this proposal, each property pays according to the amount of hard surface it has. In this proposal, all properties would pay a rate per 500 square feet of hard surface, plus a monthly base charge beginning January 1, 2024. Unlike the previous proposal, this approach does not meet the system's funding needs without an additional $10 million from other sources. The user fee is calculated by dividing the amount of hard surface a property has by 500, multiplying that by the rate per square feet, and then adding the monthly base charge. So as an example, in 2024, a property with 1,200 square feet of hard surface would divide 1,200 by 500 and get 2.4. 2.4 is then multiplied by 80 cents to get $1.92. The base rate of $4.08 is then added to the $1.92 for a total user fee of $6 per month. A property with 500,000 square feet would pay $804 per month. Now, you're probably wondering where you can find out how much hard surface your property has. To do that, visit wykokck.org/stormwater user fee. There's a map on this page where you can type in your address and see what your monthly bill would look like under both of these proposals. Keep in mind that the hard surface data in this map is based on imagery gathered in 2018. If you added something like a shed or a driveway or a parking lot between then and now, it will not be reflected in the proposed bill. Next slide, please. So while you're checking out the map and the online version of this FAQ, please also leave us some feedback. Public Works wants to know about your experiences with stormwater. How has it impacted you personally? How has it impacted your friends and your neighbors? What's the most important thing about the stormwater system for you? Is it curbs and gutters? Is it ditching? Maybe it's something else. Whatever it is, We want to hear about it. We also want to hear what you think about these proposals. So take a moment, read through them, and then let us know. Thank you so much for your time, and please remember to report your stormwater issues by either calling 311 or visiting mywyco.wykokck.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for that great video, giving us some information regarding the stormwater user fees. So at this moment, we did have a few additional people join us on Facebook as well as our Zoom. So again, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Crystal McFetters, Public Information Officer with the Unified Government. And we will also have a conversation with Dave Reno, the Community Engagement Officer for Public Works, as well as Jeff Miles, which is Jeff Fisher, sorry about that, the Director of Public Works. So at this time, if we have any comments, we ask that you type them into the comment bar. If you're on Facebook Live, also please enter those into the chat feature. Thank you so much. And Dave or Jeff, if you have any comments to add.
Hey, Crystal, thank you for everybody watching. I changed clothes really quickly. Actually, there was a video from a few days ago, but at the end of that video, I mentioned walking through the proposals and also the map. So I'm going to share my screen here in a little bit, and we'll walk through it, give you a couple example properties. We can talk about hard surface or impervious surface. Fisher, is there anything I missed?
You did an outstanding job, Reno. Thank you.
All right, give me a second here. I'm going to pull up my screen. All right, and then web browser. Okay, so there's that short link, wykokck.org/stormwater user fee. We're just going to type that in, and that pulls up our FAQ page. So in here, we answer some of the more common questions that we've heard over the past 2.5 years of talking about stormwater, which is, of course, what is stormwater, what's stormwater management, what's the user fee, what's hard surface. But you can find the rate options that were shown in that presentation here, option 1 and option 2. You just click that accordion, it'll drop down, and it walks you through an example. And of course, you've got the screenshot of what that rate structure looks like. Same with option 2. And then a couple examples of what that looks like and how to do the math on it as well. Now, let's say that you're like me and you don't like doing lots of math. You can find out your rate for both options right here. So there's sort of two options of doing this. The one is that we've got the map embedded right here, so you can stay on the website and look through it here. Or if you're like me, you like to pull it up on desktop, you've got the link available. So let's go ahead and click that desktop link. Here you've got some basic introductory information. Remember that this only applies to Kansas City, Kansas. We're not talking about Bonner Springs. We're not talking about Edwardsville. It's also important to note that this data is based on 2018 data. So if you did build a shed or you built a parking lot or a garage or whatever structure on your property between then and now, it will not be reflected on this map. So this is 2018 data. So let's have a look at an example property. You can do that either by scrolling to your particular location or your neighbors or whoever, just up and down here with the mouse wheel, or you can just get straight to it by typing it in. So let's start with 6920 State Avenue. There we go. That's Lowe's. That's the Lowe's on State. So over here's a whole bunch of information, and don't be overwhelmed by it. Just take a minute to look through it. What we've done is we've shown each one of the options for each one of the years that it would be available if commission chooses to take action on Thursday. So the first one is the tiered option, and down here is the individually calculated option. We'll walk through that in just a second. For right now, you'll see you've got your address up top. Residential, option 1, 2023. This isn't a residential property, so there isn't anything listed for this. This is a commercial property. And for commercial properties, they fall into those tiers. So for 2023, this property would pay $400 a month. In 2024, tier 5, they would pay, again, $400 a month. We jump down to 2025, tier 5. It's $410 per month. So it increases just a little bit there in 2025. Now, if commission elects to adopt the individually calculated rate, it's important to remember that this individually calculated rate does not meet the system's needs. It would need $10 million in additional funding from some other source. We don't know what that source is. We just know that we would need that additional funding from a different source. So let's start out with our options here. The first is that you can find the total hard surface area. In this case, it's 464,000 square feet of hard surface. Now goes ahead and divides that into the rate units, which is 928. And then here we see the base charge in 2024, it's $4.08. We see the rate charge is 80 cents. And then it goes ahead and it adds all that up to you. So the hard surface base rate plus the rate charge for this property would be $746.62 under the individually calculated model. We move down here, we can look at 2026 hard surface rate, $849.28 per month. So this is a pretty large property. Let's have a look at a different one. This is a residential property. So because it's residential, you'll see that there are no commercial options. There are no tiered options for this, right? It's just residential. So in 2023, under option 1, residential would be $7.50 a month. We move out to 2025, under the tiered option, it would be $7.75. If commission went with or chose to go with the impervious surface or the individually calculated model, we see here that the total hard surface area of this property is 1,329, so quite a bit smaller than that large structure over on State, which would bring their hard surface rate, including the base rate, to $6.21 a month. So in this scenario, the residential property would pay less under the individually calculated. Let's have another look over here at a different property. This one's out in Turner. This is a strip mall. So again, this is a commercial property. So we'll see over here what tier it falls into. This is a tier 5. So just like the property on State, if we went with the tiered model, this one would also pay $400 a month. Moving out here to 2025, tier 5, be $410 a month. Now, what's interesting about this property, is we go down to individually calculated. Their hard surface area is 152,000. Rate units, 305. Multiply all that together, add it up. Our hard surface base plus the rate total in 2024 is $248. So this property, despite being pretty large, would also save itself some money if commission were to elect to adopt the individually calculated. So I would encourage you, when you get home, or if you're sitting at your computer right now and you want to, pull up this map. You can browse through all these different properties. Keep in mind that there will be some properties where new structures have developed. And so what you'll see is data based on 2018. And then as a reminder, we go back here to the Stormwater User Fee FAQ page, start at the top, scroll right down here to how do I find my rate for both options, expand that accordion. You've got the link here, or you can use it right inside of the accordion itself. Now, we do mean it when we say we want your feedback. We do want your input. We want to hear whether or not you prefer a tiered approach, or whether or not you prefer an individually calculated approach, or whether you just want to keep things exactly the way they are right now. We want to hear about that. We also want to hear about your experiences with stormwater. So please do take a moment to provide your input. Click right here, and that form will pop up. And you just start answering questions. Depending on how much you'd like to share, it takes about 5 minutes to complete this critter. We do maintain all of that data. We will review it. We absolutely will share it with the Board of County Commissioners. So please do take some time. Let us know what you're thinking. And that's all I've got on the FAQ page. I hope that you stop by and have a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and quit sharing my screen. Jeff, do you think I missed anything, or?
You didn't, but I wouldn't mind adding that for some of the viewing public, you may know that we've been having a broader discussion with the commission for a couple of years now about the state of infrastructure in KCK. We went through a pretty intense period 3 or 4 years ago of collecting data, streets, bridges, sewer, streetlights, and we've been telling that story for about 1.5 years now. And as a result of that, the Mayor Alvey commissioned these subcommittees, these infrastructure subcommittees, to work with Public Works on solutions, long-term, short-term and long-term solutions, strategies, outcomes. And that is ongoing, and it's pretty exciting. Stormwater is just one component of all of that. There are broader issues, and they're very serious issues. Our street conditions are in our average of 53 pavement condition index. That is, I'll give you an example. Our neighbors generally are between 65 and 70, and we're at a 53. And they're getting worse, and that's because there hasn't been enough investment in streets. Same for bridges. We have hundreds of bridges, believe it or not, and those require annual maintenance and investment, and now we have some that are failing. And so these conditions, along with stormwater, are going to continue to get worse unless this community begins to sort of rebalance values and start investing in the infrastructure it has. That's all. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Sorry, I was talking while I was muted. Apologize for that. Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Jeff. We do have two questions that were listed in our Zoom chat. So the first one was from Kate Webb. She's asking, who is the best contact for specific questions about an account that may not pertain to the group? One example is multiple water meters and tax accounts.
In relation to stormwater, both of these systems are based on parcels, so it's not tied to a water meter per se. In general, if they have questions about water meters, I would encourage them to contact BPU. And of course, if they have questions about wastewater, which is Public Works, they can contact us. They can do that by 311. You can do that by visiting mywyco.wykokck.org, or you can give Water Pollution Control a call directly at 573-1300. For stormwater related questions in this instance, I would send those by email to stormwater@wykokck.org, and then we'll make sure that we get it routed to the appropriate team member so we can get that answered for you. If you don't have access to email, of course, you're welcome to dial 311. If you're outside of the county, you want to dial 913-573-5311.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave. And Kate, please put your comment in the chat if that was okay for you, or if you have any additional questions as well. And again, I just want to remind everyone, if you have questions, please place them in the chat or the comment box on Facebook Live or Zoom. We do have another question from Dana Bai, and there's kind of a two-part question. It says, will there be a credit system for those who have storm water they manage in retention ponds, as we discussed 2 years ago when the public meetings for storm water was discussed? And then there's a follow-up to that as well. So I'll let you answer that first, Dave or Jeff.
I'll take that. Jeff Fisher. Dan, it's a good question. Yes, with the individually calculated, if that were the chosen rate structure, there would be a credit system for water quality and water quantity. Very similar to what was discussed, as you mentioned, a while back. So that is still on the table. That would happen, and that would be ready in time for the effective date of the individually calculated rate structure, January 1, 2024.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And this was the follow-up question to Dana Bai's. Do we have public meetings scheduled to discuss and inform the general public? The last time we discussed, it was held for the UG to do more outreach to the public neighborhood groups / subdivisions and general public. And then the last piece of this was, when did the WIFIA funding become available?
The public engagement, we're in our third year of contemplating the new stormwater rate structure. Beginning in late 2018, the public engagement started. That went on for over a year and a half. We listened, and these two rate structures that are being considered now are very similar to the structures that were involved in the community engagement. And then the only thing that's changed is the rates. We brought the rates down, and so there's no public engagement here from here on. Of course, they're going to be considering, the commission's going to be considering on December 2nd. But we did listen, and one of the things, going to the WIFIA question now, We heard several suggestions from the public, the business community, the commissioners, citizens, that staff ought to be pursuing federal funding in addition to this rate proposal. We've done that. Thursday night, considered to pursue state revolving funds that is necessary to pursue the WIFIA funding that we were awarded, I'd say this time last year. However, without the rate adoption Thursday night of one of the two options, we will have to scale that WIFIA package down substantially. We will not be able to do Jersey Creek or Argentine or some of those big hot button projects. So we really hope that the commission will decide to vote on one of the two options Thursday night, so then we can start taking steps towards taking advantage of the WIFIA program that puts us in, frankly, the best financial position the UG could possibly be in.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Have one additional question that was entered into the Zoom comment, and this is from Phil Noah. Why is the wastewater charge half again and more of the actual water used?
I'll take that one. Phil, appreciate that question. Since this meeting's about stormwater, we don't have our water pole professionals on the line, but I will get your email address and then I'll have someone reach out to you so you can talk through how that particular structure works. I hope that helps.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave. Any additional questions? Oh, I think we do have one comment back from Dana Bai. She did say, thank you, Jeff. Sounds like a great funding source. Can this be discussed at the December 16 meeting after the newly elected commissioners and mayor take office?
It certainly could be. As I mentioned, UG's been working on this for 3 years now, and we have this slated for December 2nd this week for a decision, but it certainly could be a decision considered afterward. The concern that we should all have is that the WIFIA process requires that we approve this resolution for SRF by December 16th, or we cannot proceed with WIFIA, which puts us in a little bit of a dilemma. I don't know. Right now, we need as much certainty as we can get in order to pursue WIFIA, and delaying this vote until December 16th or after would make it almost impossible to pursue that.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Do we have any other questions via Facebook Live or through Zoom? And thank you, Dave. Dave has provided an email for Phil. I don't know if you've seen that, Phil, with the contact information for you to email your contact information as well as your phone number to the stormwater@wicokck.org email address. Do we have any other questions or any follow-up questions? Jeff and Dave, do you have any closing remarks?
I don't, other than to say we appreciate the opportunity to talk about stormwater and the challenges that lie ahead of us.
Yes, thank you so much. Jeff, you?
Only that we staff completely understands the sensitivity to all this, and there's been a lot of work put into this over the last 3 years, and there's been a lot of work from the public too, Chamber of Commerce, the commissioners, even citizens who have helped along the way. So it's been a lengthy process. It's been a very intensive process at times, and understandably so. And we believe that this proposal is a direct result of all of that engagement and all of that work from all of those parties. And we believe it's in the UG's best interest to adopt one of the two and move forward so we can do the work and meet expectations of the community that we cannot meet right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Ashley Hand. She just provided a link for everyone in the chat. So if you can, please use that link. That is the information that Dave Reno was mentioning earlier. That's listed on the WICO, on the Unified Government Public Works page for you all to get that information that he referenced earlier. So if we don't have any other comments or questions, we will let everyone have the rest of their afternoon. And thank you all for coming and tuning in. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us through that stormwater@wicokck.org email address, or by linking onto that webpage that's provided in the chat. So thank you all so much, and you have a great afternoon.